Good evening. Welcome to the Select Board meeting of November 1st. I'll call the meeting to order at 6:02. This meeting is being broadcast live on BNC TV and live streamed on YouTube. To find BNC TV on YouTube, go to youtube.com and search for Bernardston-Northfield Community Television. This meeting will be available for later viewing by following the link at townofbernardston.org, and it's on the Comcast channel
1075.
1075. Okay, first order of business is our warrants. I entertain a motion for the payroll warrant in the amount of $50,156.47.
So moved. Second.
Is there any questions on the warrant? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion for the vendor warrant in the amount of $45,787.45.
So moved. Second.
Is there any questions on the vendor warrant? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion for the regular meeting minutes of October 18th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Is there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion for the special meeting minutes of October 25th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Is there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, calendar of announcements. Senior Center ribbon cutting ceremony for the public computer room. It'll be Tuesday, November 7th at 10:30 a.m. at the Bernardston Senior Center. The Council of Aging meeting will be Tuesday, November 7th at 9:30 a.m. at the Bernardston Senior Center. The Select Board will have a meeting on Tuesday, November 7th at 5 p.m. at the Town Hall.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee is meeting Monday at 6.
Okay. Six-Town Regional Planning Board meeting will be meeting Tuesday, November 14th at the Gill Town Hall. And the Finance Committee will be meeting Monday at 6:30. It's
Here.
at the Town Hall. What's the date?
Town Hall, 6th.
November 6th. Okay.
And the planning board is meeting that night too,
You have a
at
plan?
6 o'clock.
You sound like you got a frog.
I do. It's stuck right here.
Oh, okay.
Stay over there.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be a planning board
Planning
meeting
board
at
6 o'clock.
at 6 o'clock at the Town Hall in the Select Board's office.
One or the other.
Okay,
We'll figure that out.
November 6th. Okay, we've got through that. Our first order of business, we got Brian McHugh from the Director of Community Development to come up here and talk to us.
Yep. Hey, everybody.
Hope you've got some good news for us tonight.
Yeah. First, I want to start out by saying I was saddened to hear that Lou is leaving. Thank you for your service to your community, Lou. It's
My pleasure, Brian. Thank you.
Pleasure working with you.
My pleasure.
You're
Thank you.
Supporting our agency. So I wish you luck in your future.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, he'll be a big miss.
Yes.
No doubt about it.
So I'm here tonight because the last time I was here, you signed a contract with the state Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities for this community development block grant that was awarded to the town, and the amount of, what was it, 1.2, right here, 1.2 million, no, 1,261,301. And that includes the replacement of the septic system down at Bernardston Country Estates, and a small housing rehab program. So you signed the contract with the state. The state issues a professional services contract that we go through and put your name in and all the amounts in. It was approved by the state. It was actually, they still have you, Brian, as the chair. It was a mistake, but you received a letter from the state saying that it was this contract with us to administer the grant was approved. So this is what this is here tonight to do, is to sign a contract with the town of Bernardston and Franklin County Regional Housing Redevelopment Authority for grant administration services. If you want to go over this at all, there's attachment B has the scope of services, It's fairly lengthy, if you want to, but basically we'll oversee that project down there. We'll do the procurement for that project down there. And, you know, there's an engineer that's involved that BCE has hired separately, which will have project oversight too, and provide all the technical specs for the job. But we'll be there at least a few times a week overseeing it, being the liaison between owners and the contractors that's going to do the job. Isn't going to go out to bid until this winter sometime, because we're looking at a spring and summer construction period. So we want to wait until we're closer to that period before it goes out to bid. But it'll be publicly procured.
You're also bidding the engineer?
No, the engineers already, they have a separate a loan, that they got a private loan to cover the engineering services. So that's kind of going to be done.
Does that document specify who the engineer is?
Well, no, this, because you don't have a contract with them.
Okay.
But it's not Hessner. The Hessner? Drive it, there's a couple in my mind now, right now,
All right.
engineers.
That's-
No, Huntley, it's Huntley, right. Yeah, they have a contract with them to do that stuff. We'll work closely. We had a startup meeting already, but we are gonna hold off on bidding it until the winter, so we'll have more accurate prices. Because people aren't gonna be holding their prices that long anymore, as we know, so we can't bid it now, so.
And that'll basically eat up $1 million of that, right?
Yeah, there's like $960,000 for the construction of that. So we do get an administrative fee to run these things. It's in the budget here, but it's the 960 includes a fairly big escalator that the engineer had done a cost estimate at the beginning of the year with the assumption that the work's going to be done next summer. And so I think it was a 25% escalator on top of that, just because of the volatility of the market,
But it's a done deal, right?
It's a done deal. You've signed the contract with the state. This is just the contract with us to administer the grant. But it's a done deal. It's going to happen. They're not going to pull the money back. It's going to get done next summer, provided there's no disasters in the,
They've been working hard on it, and they've been
Yeah.
waiting a long time.
Long
for it.
time.
No, I know, they've been great to work with, and I know there's been a few stops and starts, but we're here and it's gonna happen, so. Yeah. And then there's a small component to the grant, which is a 3-unit housing rehab program. We've already taken in a lot of applications for this. And we're trying to prioritize the neediest properties right now. You did get a payoff from a previous loan recently in the amount of $57,000 or almost $58,000. That gets put into the grant also, so we'll be able to do another project under the housing rehab program, and hopefully we'll be able to do a few, maybe another one beyond that.
Where did the funds for the payoff come from?
It came from a prior grant that you had, that we've been running your housing rehab program for, there's probably been 12 times over the years,
Long time.
since the 80s. And so when loans are given out in that program, it gets recorded as a deferred payment loan. So it gets paid back when the house sells or transfers property.
That's what worried me. Somebody sold their,
Yep, someone sold their house, they had a.
is there a deed restriction that it has to get sold low income?
No, not with these, no.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to, in order to get the money, you have to be low to moderate income, but it doesn't run with the land. There is a deed restriction if it was an investor-owned property. So if a landlord borrows money, which they're eligible to do, there is a 15-year affordability restriction on it, so that would run with the property. So even if a landlord sold the property in that 15 years, they'd have to, someone else would assume that rental agreement, so it remains affordable for the 15 years.
Can I ask why you wouldn't put the deed restriction on your low income?
It's not it's a privately owned house, so it's like it's not a requirement, I mean, I suppose as an agency, we could do that, but this is just the state program that they offer. And to be perfectly honest with you, when they started the affordable housing restriction provision or the requirement for investor-owned properties back in like 2007 or 8, and we've offered it for the last 15 years, and we have not had one landlord take it on or accept it, because there's a lot of reporting requirements that go along with it. So every quarterly reports for 15 years, every tenant that moves in there, it has to be qualified. It just ended up being, it's sort of overburdensome, and hopefully they'll change it someday. So We haven't wanted to touch it with our single-family housing rehab program, just because we've seen it hasn't taken off with the other properties. But yeah, it wouldn't, I mean, I understand why you'd want that. It's like, let's get people, it could become affordable housing, basically, you know,
And you miss that opportunity when it flips.
yeah, it does, but, you know,
Habitat
you know,
insists that
Yeah,
they have a
yeah.
deed restriction.
Yes, I mean, we've done a lot of developments in the county, like we have a development, wing of our agency, which is called RDI, Rural Development Inc. And some of the projects that we've done, which was the senior housing down in Sunderland, it just opened up this summer, was done through our development team. And back in the day, we were building single-family houses through the RDI program that were affordable houses. So we did over 100 houses in the county, and those all have deed restrictions that run for 15 years if it sells, because they're getting they're buying a house at a cut rate, basically subsidized rate. So when you go to sell it, they want to ensure that it remains affordable. 15 years is this number that they come up with as the affordability term of these things. So, but with these, it's just you need to qualify at the time in order to get this work done in your house, because you are low amount of income at the time. But there hasn't been a push to put a restriction on those properties. But I understand what you're saying, Ken. So anyway, so this is our the two components of this grant are the septic system down at PCE, and then the housing rehab program, and then our administrative fee, which sends up. It always looks big, I know, but it's was it 88,291 there. So, and it'll run for it'll run 2 years. This will run over 2 years. And we have staff and overhead and all that goes along with it. So,
Okay, whose name do you have on your paperwork?
so on the contract, it says it's you, Stan, right here.
And if it's his, I don't want to mess anything up, so if it's
No.
his name, I want him to sign it.
No, his name was just on the letter from the state that says we've reviewed this contract, and the reason that is because when this grant was submitted back in March, Brian was the chair, and now that's on all these things, But we've told them it is now you, and I think Lou, did you change this,
Yeah, an early version. So the one that you have there is the one that Brian's office emailed to us.
Yeah.
So you've got the right one.
So we're sent the professional services contract. We fill in all the pertinent information for this particular grant in your town, and so we knew that Brian wasn't the chair anymore, so that's why you're on there, Stan. But it does, you see it there. It says you. And I don't know if you're required to have town council sign any contracts or not. It's on that. Some towns do, sometimes don't. It's not a requirement that we have. It's just on the local level you require.
Who's this going?
And
I think
a couple
you
people
take.
need you to sign that though. Like your town treasurer, I believe a few people on there have to certify that you have the funds, or you've been awarded the funds, which is in your award letter that you had.
Town or city accountant.
Yeah, okay, town accountant.
So we'd have to get somebody from Markham.
Right.
So you could be the treasurer though. So
Could be a treasurer?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got her here tonight, so.
Okay, great. And that's just this. So when you signed your contract a few weeks ago, there was an award letter with that contract. So
Yeah.
you've been awarded this money, and so usually the town accountant or treasurer likes to see that. Okay, great. Yeah, I can certify that we have the money because this is the award letter from the state. So okay, should be fine.
If she wants to see it, I'm sure that Lou has got that letter someplace.
Someplace.
Yeah, that's, okay, so that takes care of the block grants for this year now.
Yeah. So are you the procurement officer though?
Yes.
Okay, so you have to sign that too.
Here comes Sue.
Even though you didn't procure anything.
How much money you got in your checkbook?
You guys,
1.2?
no, they don't send you a check, I'll tell you that.
Did you sign there,
So,
please?
so the way that we operate is that, so the town was awarded, is it Sue, is that right?
It is.
Okay, so actually, I'm Brian McHugh from Franklin County Housing Authority. So the town was awarded a $1.2 million grant We signed a contract a few weeks ago
Nice.
with the state, and this is a contract for us to provide grant administration services.
Okay.
And that just asks the town to certify that the money is available. The award letter that was given that we had last time we were here, I don't know if Lou has it there now, when you sign the original contract, it says that you've been awarded X amount.
So are we supposed to see the money in the?
No,
okay.
so what'll happen, we'll be in touch with you about how it's gonna work, because we do the draws on your behalf to the state, so, but we work on a reimbursable basis, so we front the money for our admin, front the money for contractor payments, and then we put it in a draw, and then we watch the comptroller's office gets dumped in there, and then we'll alert you through vendor web or whatever it is,
Yeah,
that we want you to put it on a warrant, and then it'll go on the warrant, our draws, as we do periodic draws.
got it. So it'll
you
go
know.
out, we'll see it in the vendor
Yep.
web.
Yep. And then
And we'll put it on a warrant to pay back to you.
pay us, exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was gonna say, I haven't seen it on 1.2.
Yeah.
No, I know, where is it? It's like, well, what do you want in, small?
Well, this is gonna allow the park over here, to get the sewer system that they need.
75 south.
Yeah.
It's over $1 million septic.
Today is November 1st, right?
Yes.
Happy November.
Welcome winter.
Thanks, Sue.
Okay.
I know, okay, thanks, Sue. All right, so, and then Lou, you sign on the bottom left-hand side, I believe. And the thing is, as a procurement officer, just so you know, like, because we're a public agency, you don't have to, you can just hire us.
Right.
It's not like you have to put it together an RFP for grant administration services.
Like that.
No, so we're exempt from that, so that's why he can just sign that.
So now you'll take this back in, Gina will sign it.
Gina will
and then-
sign it, our
and then-
executive director, and
Yeah,
then.
and then
we'll-
you'll return the executed one?
Yep.
Okay.
You got it. All right.
Okay, very
Perfect.
good.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank
Brian.
you.
Appreciate the work on that.
Excellent.
Do you need this letter back, Brian? The one-
Yes, right, yeah.
We do have copies.
You do, okay, yes, thank you.
You have that one, right?
Yeah.
I think it's actually clipped in with all that other stuff, the letter. It's okay.
Yeah, I probably got multiple copies. Look at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks again.
All right, thanks,
Appreciate
Brian.
it.
Good luck, Lou.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, under new business, you got retail liquor license renews, excuse me. Is there any liquor licenses here to sign?
If you want to move along, Mr. Chairman, I will make sure that happens momentarily.
Okay. We're moving on to the next order of business, which is the cannabis social equity policy. On August 11th, 2023, the Governor Charlie Baker signed Senate Bill 3096, an act relative to equity in the cannabis industry into law. The new law requires host municipalities to establish initial policies to promote equity in the cannabis industry no later than July 1st, 2023. On June 29th, 2023, the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission issued guidance on how to create a model social equity policy that encourages cities and towns in Massachusetts to consider incentives for increased participation by social equity applicants in their local cannabis ecosystem. Based on cannabis social equity best practices and guidance from the CCC, the town's Cannabis Council, Mead, Tolman, and Costa, has drafted a cannabis social equity policy for the board to consider for adoption. Now, we just got this tonight, so I don't know if you guys want to,
I'd like to pass over it until we had a chance to read
Yeah.
it.
It's multiple pages too.
Yeah,
it's too much
it's
to,
a hefty read.
so that's what we'll do. We'll pass over this and we will bring it up at a,
Could I ask our town clerk, who is the governor on August 11th, 2023?
I know, I was thinking it was Healy too.
Yeah.
Huh?
When did that?
Probably Healy.
Yeah, so this is a misstatement as well.
She was elected last
Yeah,
November.
a year ago.
Yeah.
Maybe it's supposed to say 22.
Could be.
yeah, I think that's,
It's the year.
I think it's just a bad date.
It's just a typo, but, yeah.
Well, because if you listen to that, the subsequent things.
Yeah, August
came
11th,
before
2022. It's the top line in your,
Oh, yeah,
okay.
in this big document. Yeah, it was 22.
Okay, moving on. Pratt Field recovery. Following Sunday's soccer jamboree, Brian Miner found Pratt Field to be in various stages of disrepair. The highway department has flattened out the perimeter traffic area. Brian Miner suggests reseeding areas that were used for parking, because if they're allowed to stay bare, they could become problematic again in the future. Brian's recommendation is to spread grass seed over the remaining affected areas. Now, the last price I heard was $1,000 for grass seed.
So is he looking for money? Is that what he's looking for? Or just the right- the okay
He's not
price?
saying, I mean, I kind of think it will just come back as a field if it's left alone. It's all it is a field. It's not like it's a lawn like the Cushman Park, I should say. So it's up to you guys how you feel about it. He doesn't have a price here, but that's it.
And is this,
Huh?
did we miss the boat on this, considering it snowed today? The chance of us to get grass to grow and this late in the fall?
I don't really think it would
It's not
unless you get some hybrid stuff out of UMass. I understand that stuff starts growing almost immediately. So.
Okay.
But again, that's very expensive. Lou, do you have any insight into this Pratt Field seeding from Brian?
Brian thought that the Pratt Field repair would take about 300 pounds of grass seed. He was also counting on about 200 pounds for Cushman Park, so about 500 pounds of grass seed.
Hat?
He said a total of around $1,000.
Well, I don't know. I don't know, looked like they put some hay down on Cushman Park. I don't know if they seeded it. Somebody put some grass seed down before they did that or not. I think we need to find that
They just
out.
rolled it, I believe.
Huh?
The Cushman Park was just rolled flat too, I believe there was no grass seed way down there.
No, there was no grass seed put in Cushman Park. The only rolling that I was aware of was the driving area of
Excuse me.
parking area at Pratt Field. Because Jen Stennis had some photographs and it got pretty ruddy with all that mud on Sunday.
So is he looking for approval? Is he looking for money? Is he?
Yeah, he's pretty much looking for approval.
He has the money in his budget?
This shouldn't come out of his budget. I mean, it's, you had two entities that held these events, and it shouldn't come out of highway budget because it wasn't their fault.
I think it ties into the next bullet point here. For
Yeah,
Yes,
I know,
sir.
we gotta talk about that, but so,
There is a Kiwanis fund that they have for maintenance of the field.
That's part of the rec. That's part of the rec budget, though, right?
Yes. It's not part of their budget, it's a separate line item, maintenance of the field and equipment, I think it
Which they
says.
annually use out of their budget.
No, if they don't use it annually because the balance in there right now is set for $1,000.
Yeah, let's see if rec has some money to kick toward that. I mean, Cushman Park would be a different thing, but
Right.
I mean, that was, I don't know if they made any money off of that.
yeah, I'd reach out to, the Kiwanis on the, seeding for Pratt Field, or the, what do you call it, the Cushman Park Committee. There's money in the Cushman Park Committee, they have money in that account that could pay for. Shouldn't come out of the highway. I don't mind the highway garage doing the job, but
Right.
this shouldn't come out of their budget.
Maybe the Kiwanis will kick a little bit toward the.
Yeah, I think that's only a fair ask
Write them a
because
letter and ask.
I'm sure that was a pretty profitable endeavor to be over there despite the rain.
And the other thing is, they should think about, like Ken just brought up, is this the right time to be doing it? Or should we wait now until spring? Of course, we don't know what kind of weather we're gonna have for the next few months. It could be
Yeah, but-
summer again.
80 again.
Yeah, when I talked to Brian yesterday, he said that even if they put the grass seed down now, and if it got really cold and it didn't germinate, that it would be dormant until the spring. So
Okay.
it would be a decent time to put it down.
Okay.
Now, the next part of this is, it says town facility usage process. Based on the Pratt Field condition and the status of Cushman Park following the Scarecrow Festival, the board should discuss some options that could become part of a formal facility usage application. The eventual usage process request would resemble the form currently used for BES event usage. I've been thinking about this a lot. I mean, I was a little upset over the Cushman Park that we held that event on that Saturday because a lot of people were out, but still it was a mess, and it probably would have been better, in my mind's eye, to close it that day and open it back up on Sunday. It still would have been an issue with mud, but maybe not as bad. However, saying that, how do we go about stopping an event that is planned for outdoors? I mean, you can't plan for the weather. The weather is the weather, and that's just the way it is. So do we just let it go, and when this happens, we just repair it again, or?
I mean, we do ask the church when they hold the gas engine show, it's only a verbal thing, that if there's damages done, they walk it down with Brian Miner the Monday or Tuesday after the event, and they agree on if there was damage or not.
Right.
And the church is on the hook to make the repairs.
Remember the year they cut down the trees? The
Right.
church ponied up money to replace those trees.
Right.
We never have a problem with them. Anything that
Right,
they,
I'm just
anything
saying-
that they do
Right.
is taken care of.
But I'm just saying
Yeah.
there is an unwritten process already we do with them. We do have a more formal one with the school.
So if there's damage when they're playing basketball, who's ever the entity that's,
Right.
we've agreed to, they could use the facility, they would make the repair, or they would pay for making the repairs.
Right. I mean, I think it's easy to formalize a process and,
Yeah,
you know, the Kiwanis would sign, I don't want to call it a contract, but understanding that if there's walk down with Brian Miner and the president of the Kiwanis, whatever it is the president,
mhm.
that they agree on some remedy to cure it, whether it's the Kiwanis are putting time and money into it, or the Kiwanis are donating money to fix it. I mean,
Okay, we can develop a form and get the input from the Cushman Park Committee. But there should be something, or maybe there should be something if they should have maybe scheduled a rain date. Should be on there for inclement weather. I mean, for the park, that's always known. It's very seldom that you're gonna see anything that's a back-to-back weekend there. So they, could have moved on. I understand that vendors can't always be there, but maybe some of them could have been the following week. I don't know. It's a crapshoot. But the other issue with the park is that little brook that goes down through there. Now that Saturday, that brook was running full stream out of the culvert, and I know that if a little kid or something would have fell down there, he would have been swept right through that pipe, and when you go through that pipe, you're going to go right into a like a brick wall, because you're going right into that bank.
Right.
And I understand from previous selectmen's comments that he looked into, one time they were talking about, I thought maybe putting a grate there to stop them from going through, but he said, he talked to an engineer, and they said that would even be more dangerous, because it would push the person right up to that grate,
No
and then the
escape.
water would be going right over them, and they wouldn't be able to breathe. So I don't know what the answer is for that. But another problem I saw that day was people were walking on the park side of Route 5 up over that culvert, even with strollers, and that water just pouring out of there, and there's no way to stop them from slipping or falling. Now, maybe we could erect something there to maybe a railing, or maybe look at putting up a bridge on that end, because it wouldn't have to worry about flooding, because the flooding actually comes after that, when the park floods. So that's just another thought that we really should take a look at. And maybe we should have a meeting with Brian Miner at the park and see what could be done. Because people do use that all the time.
Sure.
To get from there over this, from one side of the park to the other side of the park. So let's see if we can make it safer.
Bridge would be nice.
But I think the town usage process shouldn't be a big
What's
deal.
that?
That shouldn't be a big deal to come up with a
No.
process.
Yeah, when Karen and I did a little bit of brainstorming about that, and the topic came up, with the perceived issues with the grass over at Cushman Park, would it be fair to either ask a rental fee or some kind of deposit that ensures that we're not going to have to scramble to see which department is going to have to pay for that, especially if it's an outside entity? I know over the course of time, the Kiwanis has been really good to the town. I'd like to think that we've been good to them as well. But would that be in play? Some kind of a deposit to use our facilities.
Yeah,
To get it back,
right.
as long as everything's good to go.
But to your point, Stan, I also think that maybe on a usage request form, it might come with a phrase to the effect of weather permitting. If an event might get rained out, well, it might be next weekend instead. And I realize vendors, try and book themselves back to back to back, but I think that we need to make a pretty fair effort to preserve our assets here in town.
And then the public safety piece that Stan mentioned, the brook on a day like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that thing was running.
Never thought about that till you said that.
Okay, so we need to look at that park with Brian. Maybe we can meet some afternoon, we'll take a walk down there and just try to get some ideas. And maybe there's even some way that we can have some sort of, we could, I don't know, use rope or something to rope off the stream, the edges of it. So it would at least have some sort of a barrier to say, people stop, don't go.
If some kid gets running, and it would be a catastrophe.
Yep. Okay, so that takes care of that. Deputy Emergency Management Director resignation. That's from Bill Montiglio. He said, Peter, I submit my resignation as a Deputy Emergency Director, Town of Bernardston, effective October 31st, 2023. As discussed, I'll be out of town October 20th to 27th. I will check in when I return to attend to any final details. It's been a real pleasure working with you. Thank you. And I will say that Bill Montiglio is a real good worker and dedicated person to the town of Bernardston. So no matter where he resigned from, he'll be missed from whatever he does. Hopefully we'll send him a letter of appreciation.
Write him a letter of thanks. Now, does Pete just automatically apply or advertise for a replacement, or how does this?
I don't know what the status is. I know that Billy's been his right-hand man in the emergency management for a long, long time. I've not spoken to Peter as far as filling that position.
I have. I thought he came in from Hill and he said he didn't need anybody at this time. He had three other people.
Helping out.
Right.
Okay.
Sorry, was I didn't
No.
mention
That's
that.
perfect.
No, thanks. Glad you had the conversation.
Zoning Board of Appeals status. The town clerk was following up on a special permit application that was filed in February of 2022. The application was not processed and has remained in the limbo since that date. At the present time, we are unsure of the status of the ZBA. The last known business of the ZBA was in 2020, and several attempts to contact the chair have gone unanswered. I don't know how we're going to respond to this other than, have you tried to contact anybody from the ZBA to?
Chris has tried many times to get in touch with Dan Devine. Failed on every attempt. Got to be 5 or 6 times, I guess now, Chris.
Well, a couple times. And I did talk to the building inspector just last week about another situation. And he, I asked him if he'd been in touch with Dan himself, and he said no. His last conversation was that Dan said there was no zoning board. So I don't know where you want to go from there. The select board is responsible for appointing members. I don't know if the select board wants to write a letter to the people that have been on the board or to follow up
I think that's the place to start. The
and
select
just
board
find
writes a
out what
letter.
the status is and who still wants to be and, because their clerk, I talked with her a year and a half ago, and she said that she's taken a full-time job and was not gonna be clerking anymore, so, and nobody's come forward.
We have no resignation of that role?
Oh, well, from her I do, but,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, good, let's reach out for Dan Devine ourselves and see if we can give us an update on what the status is and if we can get things back in line as far as that goes. So we have an application that's just sitting and it's...
Oh, it's outdated now, and, yeah.
But you know somebody else that was trying to reach out to
Yes.
them, right?
I don't know, I mean, Ken, you
Yes,
had
I do.
mentioned it before, but I don't know who that is, and,
Peter Kerber?
okay. Well, I don't know what they need, so. he
I don't
hasn't-
know
he
the
hasn't touched-
specifics
He
either.
hasn't reached out to me as the planning board chair for anything.
I only know that informally, that
Was what?
I only know that he leads the ZBA informally, as in, I don't know his specific needs.
Okay,
Well, if we write Dan a letter and give him a little bit of time to get back to us, then we'll have
Hmm.
to decide from there, right?
Okay, let's put this on the table for tonight and put it on the, or pass over it tonight and put it on the agenda for another time. Okay, under old business, let me see, we have a letter here from Gretchen on the septic tank. We'll get back to that. Under old business, fire chief update. Lloyd Grover has volunteered to become the acting fire chief until Peter Shedd's special legislative passes. And we voted on that at our special select board meeting, I think, a week ago or something, so we wish everything luck and we hope to hear something soon from the legislators on Peter Shedd.
Yeah.
Okay, town council, town coordinators report.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Chairman.
thought I was gonna get through the night without messing up.
You were that close. I'm going to start off tonight. There was a question last meeting. I almost said last week, so it's contagious, I guess. Question on the timesheets a couple of weeks ago. There was one for Cindy Urho, the rec clerk, that was unsigned by a supervisor. I followed up with Jen Stennis. She said she will sign Cindy's timesheets going forward. And the mystery one that had the name Savannah written on it, that's our new conservation agent. And she had sent it in electronically blank directly to Susan. So that was actually Susan's handwriting on it, and did some research on that. I discussed the proper timesheet process with her. So she says going forward will be okay on that front. End of last week, I heard from the state ABCC and Jesse and Amber Snow, who've been fighting hard and long to try and get the liquor license transferred from the Country Corner to them, have finally succeeded, and they're going to be rebranding the store as Marshall's. Should be next week sometime. So congratulations to them. A little bit of good news. Since our last meeting, we got a notification of free cash certification. As you guys know, of course, Jane knows, the number was $536,000, and it seems to be a little higher than usual. So I know Jane is still doing a little research on that to ensure that the correct amount is potentially recertified so that come budget time, we're going to be in good shape for the shape that we're in. Speaking of money, the next NextAmp pilot payment, say that 5 times fast, for the Fox Hill Solar project is due next week. I've been in touch with Andrew Lorenz from NextAmp, and he assures me that he's putting a check in the mail for $30,611.82. I had a note here about Peter Shedd. I did hear from Donna, and she said that she is waiting for the Massachusetts Fire Services General Council for their final update on the status of a volunteer chief, which now it sounds like is not really relevant any longer. But she says that the Mass General laws don't address volunteer status for that position. Last but not least, King Information Systems was upstairs last week to process the boxes and boxes of past files and whatnot. Gary was up there all day long, did a terrific job, so we're good for another 2 years on that front.
Did they take anything out?
He's got stuff sequestered off to the side. I've got a form to go to the state, and then we've got to arrange to get it shredded. But other than that, good to go.
Okay. Before you finish on that, when you talked about the solar, I noticed that the solar down by the farm is the panels are going up. Are we receiving anything? Are we going to receive anything from that project?
That's disturbing to hear because we have not come to any agreement for that.
Okay, well, they're installing. They're already up.
This is on the Peeler Farm property?
Yeah, and I know the assessors were negotiating directly with them.
And that would make sense because as we got to the end of the Fox Hill project and they got involved, they were kind of tasked with future projects and then to come to us.
Could we follow up with the assessors and see if they're doing anything, because that project is well on its way.
Yeah, gonna have to get in touch.
It doesn't require select board approval?
Well, a pilot agreement, that conversation to the end of the Fox Hill project dealt with if the project was taxed as personal property, it was going to give the town better revenue than a pilot would. So I will follow up with Jill and ask what the
Pilot
status
as in payment in lieu of taxes.
Correct. Yes.
But they didn't have to go through the planning board? Or?
They did.
They
It was
did?
a long
Yeah,
time
we
ago.
originally approved the plan before COVID, and then COVID hit, so it extended.
Okay,
And then
that's
they
what
came
I
in and did an amended the project with us, because they sold the property into Greenfield and changed things around. But were they supposed to post a bond? And
They
was
were.
that-
They were. Savannah asked me yesterday if I had seen that yet, and I've not seen it, so I was going to ask Sue.
Sue, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
for
we need to-
Pacifico or Nexam?
Pacifico.
Yeah, we need to get on top of that, because I just was happened to driving down yesterday, and I just looked over and I could see the,
Yeah, the leaves are dropping, so you can see the structure.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can see it now.
Mm.
yeah,
You can see it from
Don't forget
91.
those, Stanley, the
Huh?
liquor licenses are still.
okay, yeah. So anyways, that'd be good to follow up and make sure that we don't drop a ball on that one.
So are they paying taxes, or are they personal taxes, or are they
We have
paying
to find out from the
pilot?
assessors.
That is what we're going to have to find out.
And who grants them which, either A or B?
My understanding is the assessors are going to figure out what is going to be the best option for the town, and then come to the select board with it.
Okay.
Okay,
Where does the 30,000 go from Nexam? Is that scheduled to go into a stabilization account, or does it just go into general funds? Who knows?
I think it goes into the general fund.
That's my inkling too. It wasn't voted, we went back and we researched this once, and it wasn't voted to a
No, it wasn't
specific
voted.
stabilization fund.
This is gonna go on for how many years?
20.
Then we need to
This
Fix
is
that.
this is
consider.
payment 3 of 20
Once a year.
once a year.
3 of 20.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I mean, it falls into free cash if it goes into general fund.
okay. Going back to the liquor licenses. We have liquor license renewals for let me see here. Retail packaged goods store license to expose, keep for sale, and to sell all kinds of alcohol beverage not to be drunk on premises. That's what it says. Issue to J&A Snow Enterprises LLC, a DBA Marshals. Your pleasure, gentlemen. Well, let me read them all, and we can do them all at once.
Yeah, there's just two, Mr.
Just
Chairman.
two.
Just two there.
Just two there. The next one is for a common victualler license. I didn't say that right. Again, this is not to be drunk on premises. This is A1 Limited LLC DBA Antonio's Pizza Tudo. What do you mean? You can drink on the premises there.
I have that.
That one says to be drunk on premises.
Oh, to be drunk on premises.
The other one
Okay.
said not to be drunk on
See,
premises.
see, I was doing.
But you don't want to have too many and be drunk on
Right.
premises.
I was doing good until we got to this end
Yes.
here. I mean,
Sounds like you
So
were on
need a motion-
premises.
You need a motion to approve
Yes.
the signing of
Yes,
those two. I would make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
all those in favor?
Aye. And congratulations to the Snows.
Yes, for sure, that's great news.
It's a long battle to get that done.
Next here, that one.
Can I just ask a question? Just curious, what about the other establishments in town? They,
They have the entire month of November.
okay, so these are the only ones that are.
These are the
Yeah.
first two.
Gotcha, all right.
Okay, we got the update from Gretchen on the repairs for the BES septic system. I believe this is the latest one. It says repairs are complete. They replaced both pumps and the control board. It's working well now. It took about 6 weeks for Quabbin to get it working order, and I had to call mostly weekly to pump so the drains didn't back up. They recommended adding a strainer basket to protect the pumps, but also said the strainer basket would need to be cleaned monthly. They thought that the motors were burning out from debris getting sucked into them. There was also an issue with the controls that kept tripping breakers. All that has been replaced. Okay, so it sounds like we're up
Just
and,
if I can add to that, Stan, going back to October 10th, I received an email from the school from Jordan Burns, which Lou forwarded to you gentlemen as well, stating that they've put into it almost $20,000, and they would like to sit and talk to us about that at some point, since they only have $29,000 in their maintenance budget for the year. I would just suggest we add it on to the meeting they're coming the end of November.
29.
Right.
November
Yeah.
29th.
yeah.
Just so we
And
can
I would suggest they
have that
take it out of
discussion.
the $600 and some odd $1,000 that they've got.
Can we get
That's
a copy
that's
of
a
that?
copy you can have.
Great.
Okay, anything else to come before the board? Anybody got any?
Yeah, can I just bring up one thing about the whole CCC? New legislation, or not legislation, new rules they've adopted that everybody's trying to figure out, to where we may have to give back some of the community post-agreement funds in various ways. Some are to that social equity fund, and some could directly be back to the Heirloom Collective in our case. And I know I did have a conversation with Jim Cahoonihan at THC. They're still trying to interpret all the rules and regulations that have just come out. They're not sure what it's gonna mean. There is the potential, and I know Stan, you've talked about it before, that we may have to give back some of our host agreement money, separate from the tax money. Do we want to consider, till anybody knows, and in Jim Cahoonian's opinion, it could be multiple years before we really know the outcome when all the lawsuits happen. It is a chance that we may have to give back several $100,000 at the end of this. Do we want to err on the side of caution and set some of that money aside just in case? Or are we willing to roll the dice? We don't need to know right now, but we might want to think about the host agreement monies, which over the 5 years for the retail is in the area of $700,000. We potentially could have to give back a portion of or all of that money because of that legislation?
We had to do this with something through the assessors department, and that went on for years. It was the telephone poles. And we had to hold money in an account until they released it. And every year they release so much of it. So yeah, I would say that we could sit down and have that conversation with the finance committee and put the monies on the table and say, okay, how much of this should we hold back and put it into a special.
I just
fund
hate to
for
see it come 10 years from now, even if we only had to give them back 100,000. That's a lot of money for this little community, if we've already spent it.
Especially when we know it, that it's a
It's a
possibility.
possibility, and even Jim from the THC says, we don't know how it's gonna go, nothing may change. Maybe it will.
How many, have any municipalities joined together to bring suit against the board?
It's too new, everybody's trying to figure it out.
So nobody's made that move yet?
Yeah, it was just signed, this particular legislation just happened like around the 1st of July this year, not 22.
I think it's another thing we're going to have to reach out for Joanne Comerford's office and say, how do we organize towns to get behind this and do whatever to fight.
Well, as that process went out, we have reached out while the bill was still being heard, and for whatever reason, it went on deaf ears. The CCC went and approved those new regulations. I believe the final date of approval, Brian, was September 13th, if I'm not mistaken.
it was very
So
recent.
it's very recent, but as I know I've alluded to in previous reports, this is one of those things that I really think, unless, Jane, to your point, if some smaller communities are able to band together, and maybe this is where Senator Comerford comes to our aid, it would probably have to be an affluent community that has cannabis. Cannabis is going to be affected by this legislation, because I'm sure that this legal challenge, which has not even started yet, could go on, like you said, for years.
Well, there's quite a few communities.
Yeah.
Because the Mass Municipal Association that has staff attorneys have been very clear in saying that these regulations are flat out unconstitutional because they go against all contractual law. So where does that leave you? You know, you figure you're doing the right thing, but then the state says, well, no, we want to do it this way anyway.
I know the marijuana companies are filing a lawsuit against the federal district attorney to get the laws changed so they can be on an equal playing field with everybody else. So see how that goes. Okay, anything else to come before the board? Hearing none.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All those in favor?
All right.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Everybody.